we'll get started. Okay, the title of this presentation is Presenting Statistics in Social Media, or you can lie with statistics, but it's a lot easier to lie with just words. Provided the statistics aren't totally made up. Okay, everything in the universe is numbers. You know, we use statistics to see patterns in nature that just aren't easy to see with the naked eye. Like who's the best batter in baseball? We use the batting average. You know, we use the gross domestic product to see how the economy's doing. You know, obviously you use your T-cell counts or your percent body fat to see how your health is doing. You know, plus a ton of educational statistics. You know. So Joseph Stalin once ominously said, "One death is a tragedy, but 1,000,000 deaths are a statistic." I didn't add this just to creep. I'm sorry if that creeps anybody out, but I mean, just reciting statistics, yes, it can be boring, and you do need to supplement it with other information. I agree, it can be boring, but obviously you need to look at a bigger picture besides just looking at one or two stories or one or two events and saying, okay, he hit the ball out of the park on one at bat, therefore he must be a great baseball player. No, you need to look at all this. You need to look at a whole body of data. So here's some of the ways we do it. You know, like if we have a continuous variable, that means like a variable that can take any kind of value. We call it the mean. I mean, that would be, or an average. Like you total up all the values in a set of data and divide by the number. Or sometimes you can describe it using a median. Like if you rank the data from highest to lowest, and the data that would come up in just the midpoint, the 50th percentile, that's the median. Sometimes that's a better indicator of what a typical value in a data set is. Because sometimes extreme values can skew a mean or an average. The mode, that's just the value that occurs most frequently in a set of data. A proportion, I mean, that's what a batting average really is. It's just, say, the number of hits a batter has divided by the total number of at-bats. That's for a percentage. Okay, and then you also have measures of spread in a set of data, like, okay, who has the highest grade point average in the class versus who has the lowest. Okay, and we also have measures of probability, you know, from gambling to look at who has the best. What event has the best chance of happening? You know, and you're trying to make, and you also use probability to make a statement about the relationship between a sample of data and a population. That's what we mean when we say this survey has a margin of error plus or minus 3%. They're 95% certain that the average, that the real percentage for, say, President Obama, percentage of approval is that this poll is accurate within plus or minus 3 percentage points. Okay, one summary statistic can never tell you a whole story. Like here you have this graph with this one little summary statistic saying that this graph accounts for 8% of the data, and you just have this one line graph with this slope. Okay, this is for life expectancy in years versus income in dollars, like average income in dollars for each state. Like here, on this one, I'll show you what the actual average is for each state, including the District of Columbia. So you can see a definite pattern here. But you see, curiously, the District of Columbia is way over here. So you can see a different patterns emerging here. So why does it look strange like this? But if the data is only represented like this, you miss this. You miss this other pattern. So, like I created this graph in SPSS. I was able to save it as a JPEG file and upload it onto a blog as a picture file. That's how I was able to save it as a picture file here. So that's just what I did. So here's some other examples of graph types. So these two graphs here, they're measuring something like some value, arbitrary value here. It doesn't really matter what it is, but you're over 4 time points with these different colors measuring products. Now these two graphs are really measuring the same kind of data, but which one is really giving you better information? Can you tell me? Would it be the line graph or the bar graph? Somebody say the line? Well, I have to agree. This gives you better indication of the trends over time. So like here, this would be a good example of an early invention. This was an example of the first pie chart ever invented. Florence Nightingale. You know, you've heard of her, like one of the greatest nurses of all time. She was taking care of soldiers on the battlefield in the Crimean War. Like the Civil War, most of the soldiers were dying from infection. And she needed a way of demonstrating that to all those stuffy Victorians, without showing all the grisly pictures of the battlefield. So she came up with this graph where the red represents the deaths from infection for each month, and the blue represents the battlefield deaths. And the ratio of blue to red for each month in terms of area is about the same. So this is probably one of her. She was also a great pioneer in statistics as well as in nursing. So this is another graph I created to represent crime in the Pittsburgh area, like in 2005. So it can be represented as a map. So like golden triangle, this indicates high crime. That's mostly just petty crime in the golden triangle. So basically you can create graphics using Microsoft Excel, SPSS, SAS, a statistical package called R, and other packages that will allow you to save them as graphics files like JPEG, GIF, or PNG. You can save it to a blog or some other in another electronic format that can be used easily in social media. Okay, I mean, Microsoft Excel, I think newer versions of it are more amenable to having graphs that can be saved electronically. Okay, now the most readily available package would be Microsoft Excel. You know, it's not really built for all the basic statistical analysis. SPSS is better, but it's, you know, for more costly. It's more costly to use. R is a great package, but it requires, it's free, but it requires a lot of syntax. It's almost like programming in C to use. You can do a lot of, but you can do a lot of advanced applications with it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you a quick little film to show you some cutting-edge graphics that are interactive that could be used in a podcast. So this is from an institute called Gapminder, where you can download. Just a quick little 5-minute video.
Visualization is right at the heart of my own work too. I teach global health. And I know having the data is not enough. I have to show it in ways people both enjoy and understand. Now, I'm going to try something I've never done before. Animating the data in real space, with a bit of technical assistance from the crew. So, here we go. First, an axis for health. Life expectancy. From 25 years to 75 years. And down here, an axis for wealth, income per person, $400, $4,000, and $40,000. So down here is poor and sick, and up here is rich and healthy. Now, I'm going to show you the world 200 years ago, in 1810. Here come all the countries. Europe brown, Asia red, Middle East green, Africa south of Sahara blue, and the Americas yellow. And the size of the country bubble showed the size of the population. And in 1810, it was pretty crowded down there, wasn't it? All countries were sick and poor. Life expectancy were below 40 in all countries. And only the UK and the Netherlands were slightly better off, but not much. And now, why start the world? The Industrial Revolution makes countries in Europe and elsewhere move away from the rest. But the colonized countries in Asia and Africa, they are stuck down there. And eventually, the Western countries get healthier and healthier. And now we slow down to show the impact of the First World War and the Spanish flu epidemic. What a catastrophe! And now I speed up through the 1920s and the 1930s. And in spite of the Great Depression, Western countries forge on towards greater wealth and health. Japan and some others try to follow, but most countries stay down here. Now, after the tragedies of the Second World War, we stop a bit to look at the world in 1948. 1948 was a great year. The war was over, Sweden topped the medal table at the Winter Olympics, and I was born. But the differences between the countries of the world was wider than ever. United States was in the front, Japan was catching up. Brazil was way behind, Iran was getting a little richer from oil, but still had short lives. And the Asian giants, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Indonesia, they were still poor and sick down here. But look what is about to happen. Here we go again. In my lifetime, former colonies gained independence, and then finally they started to get healthier and healthier and healthier. And in the 1970s, then countries in Asia and Latin America started to catch up with the Western countries. They became the emerging economies. Some in Africa follows. Some Africans were stuck in civil war and others hit by HIV. And now we can see the world today in the most up-to-date statistics. Most people today live in the middle, but there are huge differences at the same time between the best of countries and the worst of countries. And there are also huge inequalities within countries. These bubbles show country averages, but I can split them. Take China, I can split it into provinces. There goes Shanghai. It has the same wealth and health as Italy today. And there is the poor inland province Guizhou. It is like Pakistan. And if I split it further, the rural parts are like Ghana in Africa. And yet, despite the enormous disparities today, we have seen 200 years of remarkable progress. That huge historical gap between the West and the rest is now closing. We have become an entirely new converging world. And I see a clear trend into the future. With aid, trade, green technology and peace, it's fully possible that everyone can make it to the healthy, wealthy corner. Well, what you just see in the last few minutes is a story of 200 countries shown over 200 years and beyond. It involved plotting of 120,000 numbers. Pretty neat, huh?
So what'd you think? Yeah, actually, now I'm going to show you that the institute that Hans Rosling, the man who was speaking to you, the institute he runs, the Gapminder, actually gives the software he was using away for free. So, like right here, you can actually see the world here in 2009. The world in 2009 in the same graph that he was talking about, and you can use it. You can use it interactively, very easily in a podcast. And you can go back, you can go backwards in time like this, down here at the bottom. Let's see here, let me go to full screen mode. So yep, that's 1989. Like you can go over each country here. That's 19, there's the United States right there. You can see how it changes. And then, so there's Brunei. You can see how the countries change. Here. It almost looks like some kind of swarm of bees, doesn't it, if it goes really fast, doesn't it? And go all the way back. Well, now it can go all the way back to the year 1800, like when Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were both running for president. And you can see here where China, India, you can highlight each country. Belgium, right? Well, here's the United States. Like, you can go over here and highlight each country. Tonga, I guess, well, Tonga, that would be the most recent year they would have data for it. It's a new country. So, like, as you move forward in time, the dots get bigger as their populations get bigger. Up to here. You can even change the data that's on the X and Y axis. Like you want to look at things like children per women, like you want to look at population statistics. If you're concerned about global warming, you could look at CO2 emissions for each country. Well, income per person, that's on the X axis. Child mortality. There's lots of economic statistics you can look at, societal statistics, the murder rate, democracy score. Any statistics you'd like to look at? Would someone like to look at a statistic? I can go through some of the education.
What's the energy one?
Energy? Okay, let's see.
Is that usage?
Let's see, there's total energy use. Energy use per, there's total per person. That's when you adjust for population. Would you like to see that?
Yeah, or hydro versus
Oh, hydro?
yeah.
Hydro power per person?
Good.
I know China, they're building a lot of hydroelectric dams. Okay.
Look at that.
So, yeah, you got some. Iceland. Iceland's up at the top. Well, Sometimes you can also change the scale of the y-axis, like to a logarithmic scale. You know, that allows you to see the differences down at the bottom a little more clearly.
Is that China, the big red blob in the middle?
Yep, that's China. India. Yep. I mean, Iceland's still at the top here, and followed closely by Norway. I mean, depending on what you want to look at, you may either want the linear or the logarithmic scale.
I was interested in the democracy number. What kind of criteria are they using to establish that number?
Yeah, there's democracy. I'm trying to remember where that. I'm trying to remember education. That'd be so. Oh, that would be under society.
Yes.
Yeah, that's democracy. Okay, that's linear. Well, the U.S. is, you can see a big range here. I think they probably have it like scored on like a scale of 1 to 10. Well, actually, positive 10 to minus 10.
How do you look at the criteria by which they're making that judgment?
I don't know. It's probably some academic scale they borrowed.
It says down on the bottom where the information came from, that policy.
Uses democracy score, they use. Okay, or the overall polity score from the polity 4 dealers. Calculated by subtracting autocracy score from the value from minus 10. Yeah, it's probably some academic scale. So, like down here, Saudi Arabia is the worst. Well, the United States, we are at the top. Don't worry. And we're all tied with all these other countries. So it is fun. This is a fun little tool to play with.
So this will allow you to assign certain values so that you can use it for your own non-profit in terms of what you're trying to measure.
Yep.
To your users.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Does this website include like a tutorial of how to use it?
Yeah. At the Gapminder.org. They do have one, say, for the 50 states. Like if you want to compare, like the 50 states for life expectancy and on other measures. Like you can compare the 50 states to the other countries in the world for life expectancy. And, I mean, Mississippi is the worst. Yes?
You mentioned this was a tool. Can I import my own data? Like if I can get traffic or certain data into a spreadsheet, can I import that spreadsheet to this tool and see what my trends are over time?
That I don't think so.
Okay, it's the specific data to this. Okay.
I don't think so, but I could. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, it's an awesome tool.
Yeah.
If we could somehow figure out how we could use it, maybe with our traffic data, if we could import our own numbers, that'd be amazing.
Sure. You mean I'd say at the state level, or maybe with software engineers, you could come up with something like it.
Okay.
Yeah, something like it for around here. Yeah.
Is there a URL to find this app?
Gapminder.org.
Gapminder.org.
Yeah, GAP.
Gapminder.org.
Yeah. Let's see here. Well, that's one part. So, okay. Like I said, I guess maybe I think we have time for one more if anybody wants to look at something else. Like infrastructure, population, work. Infrastructure. Okay, there's communication, sanitation, water. Traffic. Okay, traffic. Okay, they got something for roads paved, traffic deaths per 100,000, cars, trucks, and buses per 1,000, or traffic total deaths.
Roads paved.
Okay. All right. China's right at 50%. this is just as a percentage. So, okay, so I imagine there's Mexico. I imagine the United States is probably tied somewhere along here. So, like if I want to find a country to make sure, if I can't see, oh, United States, it's there.
So why wasn't it showing up before you?
I guess maybe it's just the year. Like if I go backwards in time to 2005.
Does it have anything to do with the logarithm scale versus data?
It shouldn't. Let's see here. United States 2005.
That means they don't have any data past 05.
Yeah, they don't have any data past 05 for the United States. Yeah, I don't. Well, just every country's different about how. Yes. Question.
This is kind of a, I don't know what type of question this is, but I'm a public health social work research grad student.
Yeah.
And so my question in regards to this is, how do you foresee those of us that are in the research field and statistical analysis, like I'm an epi person.
Yes.
So how do you foresee us being able to integrate these type of visual displays of the statistics that we have found integrated into the mainstream? Because I think that's the hard problem in terms of like media usually just, people just say whatever they kind of take whatever they want to take out of our journal articles, and we as the researchers who wrote the articles and kind of know more about it don't necessarily have an outlet to really explain what we found. And so sometimes our findings are skewed to a perception based on whoever is choosing to read this
Instead of just looking at all the data.
Yeah.
So, is it like, how would you integrate something like this?
Yeah.
Like, you mean show it to them?
Into how do we integrate it into our social media presence? Because I don't think research necessarily has we don't necessarily utilize the social media outlets that there are in order for us to show what academia has found. It's usually traditional media outlets that are.
Well, there are. Well, actually, I was starting to get to that. You know, I mean, like, say I use a blog to just disseminate, to talk about things like I'll research on, or my observations, or, I mean, there's also a blog at the School of Public Health called Frack Tracker. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not into fracking.
Huh?
I'm not into fracking, so I'm not.
Yeah, well, that tries to track the health impacts of Marcellus shale drilling. I mean, I can bring up that. I still have some more of my PowerPoint to go through. So, okay, but definitely, this was definitely a fun thing I wanted to show you all. Back to. So basically, I embedded that one video clip into my blog, my personal blog, CSI Without Dead Bodies. So, and well, this is one of the other blogs I was telling. What's your name?
Beatrice.
Beatrice. This is one of the blogs I was telling Beatrice about. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if I can bring it up right now, called Frack Tracker, that keeps track of fracking data and presents it for people to look at. You know, I don't know if I can bring it up here, but well, maybe we can look at it later. This is an example of a poor blog that I came across called Audacious Epigony, that basically looked at the IQs of Obama and McCain voters from 2008, trying to say that Obama voters were less intelligent, that I skewered, and one that I'll tell you to stay away from. So, I mean, I don't think I can show that to you here. Here's some of the other famous ones from social media. Nate Silver has a blog on statistics, like 538. where he's using logistic regression. What? Where he uses logistic regression. He uses that to forecast the outcome of the presidential election. I mean, so far he's giving Obama a slight edge, but who knows really. And then here's some other examples of, hey, I gotta toot my own horn here too. So and then there's the Census Bureau does have a lot of data that's available for free that you can do your analysis, do your own analysis on. So, you know, I mean, CNN, they're very generous with making their own exit poll data available to look at, and you can draw your own conclusions. Okay, so basically, when you're analyzing data, you have to be as careful as possible to leave no stones unturned.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the most important challenge. You know, just try not to only look at what you expect. Make sure to try not to only look at the things that support what you already believe, and always ask. Be your own harshest critic. One thing I was looking at, I don't know if it was anybody in Tory Mystic's talk. Anybody here with Tory Mystic's talk about Facebook pages? Okay, well, I told her I'd do a little thing here about Facebook pages and the complement here. I mean, Facebook, for those of you who manage Facebook pages, Facebook does provide, provide data from pages. Like I manage Pennsylvania United for single payer health care. I manage their Facebook page. So they give lots of data here about, they give lots of data here about usage in a very, very usable format. Like here, I have total 455 fans. Well, these 455 fans have 218,000 unique friends, so that's the potential reach the page has. Okay. 7 people are talking about, in the last week, are talking about about the posts on the page, with a weekly total reach of 85. So that means we're not quite reaching our total potential, but so, and this is what the weekly total reach has been over the last month with the people talking. You know, either that means they're either liking something on a page or posting or sharing something that's on the page. So, liking something that I've been posting on the page. So if I scroll down, these are some of the individual posts. Some of the individual posts that are popular, like this one had a reach of, I'd say 36 people saw this one post called The Elephant in the Room. One engaged user, one talking about this, and it had a viral reach of 2%. So basically, this is some valuable feedback Facebook can give you. Let me see here. Let me get back into I need to get back into Wi-Fi so I can navigate. So, you know, it gives you, like, say, the pattern of new likes. Is this stuff review for most of you, or? So this is all new? Okay. So like here, this gives you a lot of demographic information about, you know, about this, you know, of the fans. This gives you like the demographic profile of the fans of the page. You know, they have slightly more females than males. The age group, a very small percentage under the age of 17. You know, our biggest age group, I think 25 to 34 males. And then it gets bigger, it gets somewhat bigger over here with 55 to 64-year-olds. So that's quite a big age gap. And then they tell you down here where the likes came from. And this is the pattern of new likes for our page, and a few people say they don't like our page. So here, this is how our reach statistics have changed over the last month. So reach statistics maybe look a little bit different from our like statistics. So the 45 to 54, hardly anybody was reached in the female group, but there were a lot of them in the 55 to 64-year-old group. So that seems a little odd. And then you can see how it changed over time. Some of these were total, some were viral. So if you want to know what all of this means, there's a question mark you can go over. Organic means the number of unique people who saw your content in newsfeed and ticker or on your page from September 28th to October 25th. So, yeah, you can get all that information. Viral, this means published from a friend. Okay, this is like when a fan shares this with their friends. And this is just the total number of people. Information, and then talking about this. So we're up to 9 people with a viral reach of 11. So yeah, this is obviously knowing all this information about who you're reaching and where you're reaching, where it's coming from, can be very valuable. I mean, Google Analytics can be very valuable as to how many people your website is reaching. I don't know if we have. Let's see, I think we have a few minutes. We can go maybe try going into that. Would you like me to? Well, this is my personal blog. So I have these over the last week. Okay, so now I get this information from Google Analytics. Say 354 page views over the last month. 354 visits. Okay, let's see. A visitor, and how many pages did they view over the past month? That many. And then I can go like another metric. Say, how long are they staying on the page? So 3 minutes. Average page duration on Monday, October 15th. So 2 minutes. Gives you a lot of useful information like that. So, okay, 80% are new visitors, 19.5% are returning visitors. You can see, this is just the languages that they come from. I can see a lot of other information. I might be overloading you with stuff.
What's the bounce rate?
Bounce rate. That means just like, do they stay, how long do they stay and do they leave? Let's see here, let me get, okay, I can bring up, like you know, if you go, let's see here, I can show you a bounce rate. Like if you go over this question, bounce rate is the percentage of single page visits. Like it does have these visits in which the person left your site from the entrance page. So like down here, I can see content. Like what are my most popular pages over the last month? So just like the overall web page, that's the most popular page. That gets about 1/5 of the page views. This one I did comparing the 1912 election to the 2012. So, okay, well, I think we're running near the end. So the statistician in me would like to collect some data from you. I just created just a little course evaluations, little session evaluation survey.
I have a question while you do that. Do you, as a statistician professionally, do you find this tool to be true? Have you found a way that, I mean, do you have any idea of the protocols behind it to know that they're pretty on?
I use a few different independent stat counters, so they're pretty good. I mean, they're not necessarily perfect. I mean, like, actually Blogger has a built-in stat counter that sometimes shows a lot of page views for a page that doesn't show up on Google Analytics or the other counters. And that tells me that maybe there's a lot of spam bot traffic for that one page. Huh? Okay, well they just went to the bathroom. Okay, anybody need pencils? I got pencils.
Is there any statistic that you see that we don't get in any of these other things that you think a blogger or a social media business page should collect? I mean, certainly interaction is good.
I mean, you can also see like what sites are referring those pages.
Sure. Across various channels like Google Analytics and Facebook, do you see sort of like value, in a sense, like the value of the Twitter followers dropping, at a certain pace, based upon the frequency that people actually follow and methods of, spamming these sort of things? Do you have a method by which you sort of?
I just do it mostly by eyeballing. If there's something pornographic in the image, if they have if they're following, say, thousands of people, but nobody's following them.
Yeah, that's always a bad sign.
That usually tells me they're not. So, do you need something? Oh, okay. So,
but I wonder if, for example, Reach and Facebook, it seems to me that, and they play that number really high, but Reach is essentially just them running something, or how many eyeballs potentially saw it, right? We're not actually talking about. So, and they put Reach, I guess it's trying to understand Facebook analytics versus comparing it to what are the valuable numbers. Is it like reach to engagement, whether it's talking about, and sort of that ratio to sort of measure, what's actually resonating with people?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like how many eyeballs are seeing it? How much bang are you getting for your buck?
Right.
Like you can actually go to other Facebook pages, and I can show you something else. You can go to other Facebook pages. Let's say, suppose let's say, I'll go to a famous one, Sarah Palin. Okay, she loves to cause controversy at her Facebook page. She said something. She has 3 million. You can go click the like button, the number of likes button, and you can see she has this many total likes. And it's like 230,000 people are talking about her page. And you can see like the number of page insights. Her most popular week was July 22nd this year. Her most popular city is Houston, Texas. And our most popular age group is 35 to 54. So, and then these are friends of mine who like Sarah Palin. So, I mean, I don't click like, but I'll peek at it to see what she's up to. So, okay, anybody done? Okay, it's anonymous, so you can just write whatever you want.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. So, all right. Does anybody have more questions?